but me and Carol disappeared. And like, me and Carol are like on local
あ、でも
network.
いけそう。
That's
安定し
funny.
てロードされて。
Everything was still for me, and so everyone was just. And I thought maybe I was
There we
just thinking, "Hey, Jax,
Hello.
hello.
Sorry, it was my internet that dies.
Do you mind being our guide for it and kind of talking through like maybe some of your thought processes, things that maybe were challenging,
ガイドしてくださると思いますけどね。
Let me just make sure that I'm all the way
Is everyone
in.
loaded in?
Bro, then.
Oh.
Oh, things loading in.
Yes.
Let me also, I'm gonna close up the world, so like we don't have people joining in the middle.
Okay, I'm here. Hi.
Wonderful. Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
So, let's see here. So the first thing that I wanted to do was I was like, I want to keep to the spirit of, creator jams, sharing assets type deal. And so the first thing I did was I thought there need to be more textures. There's plenty of models and stuff to go around. So I started by building these textures that we're actually surrounded by at this very moment, the 3 textures, the ground, the walls, and the ceiling. And then once I got that done, I was like, I have an idea. I can do a story thing with this. And I had started, like, I had started working on a story leading up to it because I was like, I don't really know what I want to do, but I want to, whatever. So I wrote the outline for the story leading up to the competition, and then on the start date, I was just like, okay, I'm incorporating the assets and the story, and then that's how this whole dungeon basement area was just a blank idea that I just threw together on the 1st of September, and I was just like, I don't know where to go. Oh wait. Story time. So that's when I started working on the rest of the assets, and everything else, just models and everything else came after that. So
Do you find that usually is your process when you're building a like a story that you like to start with environment and sculptures is your kind of like starting point to think about
in a way,
how to build a story around?
Yeah, in a way, definitely. Like part of my favorite way of designing is starting with some form of inspiration, whether it just be something that's visually pleasing or storytelling pleasing. And I think, how can I take these 2 aspects and join them together? And one of my favorite ways to do that is through environment, and that's why I created a world around a story.
Very cool. Shall we check it out? And maybe you want to give any type of like a director's commentary, essentially. Unless you don't want to ruin anything, that's okay too.
I think we're okay by now. So these prompts were actually a little bit more challenging because
my name is Tobbs, and
I
today
never built
may
a
be your
prompt
lucky
system,
day.
a prompt system leading up
I
to
know
this.
you were arrested for semi-traveling, and I know you came quietly, which is why I chose you. I believe you'd be willing to help me. Well, will you?
So this guy's voice, he is one of my friends. He's local to me. He lives not far, and he jumped onto Neos just at the last minute. And at the time, I was just going to wind up voicing this character because I didn't really have enough people at the time. But he jumped on, and I immediately saw him pop online, and I said, Ember, are you free? And he goes, yeah, I guess. And I said, all right, come here. We're doing a thing. So I brought him in and I told him about the project and contest and everything.
We have a meeting
And we just started the session because he joined right as we were starting the actual primary recording session with everybody else here.
So the story had already been in production, and he joined in during that time when it was ready to have the cast.
He joined in within the last third of the month when we were doing the recordings and everything.
With your cast, did you have a cast planned from the beginning, like after the story was laid out, or did you like recruit in? How'd you go about grabbing the cast that you wanted?
That actually became a little bit more complicated as it went. I had an idea of what I wanted the characters to be, and I had a few people in mind specifically when I made these characters. Like, for Tobbs, I had either myself or somebody else in mind. but the other person wasn't available, and then Ember jumped in, and I was like, I really don't want to play more than one voice, and I'm already doing the one of the old council people upstairs. I don't want to do more than one voice. But the story goes that while I was working on this, one of the other characters that we'll come to meet soon, one of my friends I learned while working on this world had passed away. And he was actually one of my... He was also, you know, had all his media training and everything like that. He was also a super big media buff as well. And I'll walk and talk because we can actually go a little further. Sure. But he was actually my genuine rival. He and I would legitimately and purposefully poke and annoy one another and legitimately make each other angry because we knew how to push each other past our limits when it came to making media. And some of my best work that I've ever made has come from him challenging me to do something and getting on my case and annoying me to make something. So when I heard about that, I had only gotten this palace part of the world done, and I was still completely confused on on what to do once I got past this palace part.
Where you were. Otherwise, this task would be impossible. Once we reach the council chamber, we do the talking. Even if
I had everything leading up to the conversation ahead totally planned out. But leaving this conversation, which will take a minute, so...
I love that it triggers like earlier, so that way you kind of overhear something.
Yeah, that was actually I wanted to give the feeling a little bit of liveliness, so I had the old guy that I wound up playing, him grumbling and groaning, being really upset that he had to get out of bed in the middle of the night and come to a meeting last minute. So that actually became a running joke while we were working on while people were joining in and I was working on the logics for the trigger. People kept joining in and coming in, so over and over and over again. While I had the testing trigger set up, my back aches, my back aches, my back. So my back aches actually became a running joke for everybody that visited the world while I was working on it. But yeah, I wanted it to feel like people were actually talking behind your back or like elsewhere in the world to give it a little bit more liveliness as well. But yeah, this is as far as I got. Writing-wise, dialogue-wise, I didn't have anything after this until about the last third, almost, of the, like, I had an idea of how events would progress, but I didn't have any idea on how to move on from here to those other events. I needed a secondary guide character. I needed somebody who would pull the main character, the player, and the side character out of where they're at right now, because right now you're just stuck in a palace. So this was at the point that I had found out the news about my friend, and after taking a little while to kind of just, you know, process that and let it sink in, I let his voice kind of run through my head. What would he be saying to me right now? What would he be telling me? How would he be, you know, how would he be yelling at me and telling me I'm an idiot for not going any further? And when I thought of what he would say, I wound up thinking, oh my gosh, he is literally what I need in the world. So I actually based one of the next characters we're going to meet on him, on his personality, the way that he actually spoke. Because he was, you know, I can't say too much on stream, but he was a very unsavory person if you didn't, you know, get to know him. So when we follow the characters here on out and back to the next part, which was also a funny challenge because people kept going into the room that we're going to go into and thinking, what's in here? So I had to purposefully empty that room of any ideas of props or anything that I was going to leave in there to kind of give it some life because people were spending too much time not knowing what to do.
That makes sense.
In an empty room. Also, these stairs used to not be as tall, but people got annoyed with me for making really tall spiral staircase, so I made it an extra half taller.
It's like just to say, okay, fine, I'll make it bigger. You don't like it?
Yeah.
So, did you find that when you were adding to the plot that once you changed the last like the later half of it, that you wanted to go back and rewrite the beginning of the plot to kind of like fit in a little bit more? Did you have to do any type of changes to the initial play?
Not entirely, because I actually just wound up doing a little bit of that revising as I went, because when I figured out this character here, who is named Connor, and my friend's name was in fact Connor.
You better not let my or you're gonna go wind up in.
And fun fact, he had an eye patch in real life, so I gave the character an eye patch as well.
Yeah, you follow me.
But I wound up just writing all of the dialogue like really, really quickly all at once, so it all did wind up working together like that.
I guess
another challenge I had to face was this. A challenge that I didn't have enough time. I didn't quite have enough time to really adapt to this challenge, but creating prompts and clarifying, make sure that the experiencers, the people who are playing it for the experience, go first. So I had, I wasn't able to rectify that before the contest ended, but it definitely taught me a lot on, making sure that whoever's going first has priority, things only appear for them, etc. That way they can go through the story properly without triggering prompts. Like this one here was actually...
That's a clever idea.
Yeah, like this one here was actually one of my... I actually got that idea later on. Probable Prime told me that he does that in some of his worlds, where he bases certain things on whether or not the host is triggering something, not whether or not anyone can trigger something. But I hadn't learned that yet. And this was a huge learning experience, for sure, for me. But this transitioning from this scene to the next scene was where I started to find that's where it's going to become an issue. So I wound up putting in the world description,
I came here to give you permission to take my ship.
Stick together if you play in a small group type deal. I also didn't I thought about it when I first started working on it, jail cells, having people spawn in separate jail cells, but it would have been harder for Tobbs to be, position him in the beginning. So I was just like, you know what? It's going to be funnier if everybody's just cramped in a tiny little jail cell if they try to play in a group. So I just wound up leaving that for the comedy of it.
Fine.
Looks like we get to travel in luxury after all, friend.
Do you have an amount of users you think should be generally in this world, like experiencing? Is there like an ideal number you would say?
If I were to slap a creator recommendation on it, I would say no more than 3. Because it's really easy for all 3 of you to line up and say, because this is where I recommend it. Everybody aim at it at once.
Okay.
And then when I say go, everybody click the trigger.
Okay.
And go. There we go. Because the music completely changes the environment. And it's upon you teleporting, and there's actually a very subtle effect here where it starts off black and it fades away. I didn't really add the best timer on it, so you don't really notice it, but
You'll have less opportunity
first person you'll notice it.
because he was right.
I think that doesn't hurt it all around though, because it's still giving you the atmosphere, the environment, and switching to it.
As it being from another
Right.
world.
But definitely, it's just like in editing, like having almost fade outs or dissolve transitions and other things will certainly be something to learn throughout here.
Well, I actually learned how to do this far better in the final act, and you'll see it when you transition from the final act to the credit roll. I made sure that the transition was part of the teleportation system rather than the other way around, where the transition just reacted to the transition. Or just reacted to the teleportation.
I know what you're saying.
And fun fact about these creatures, I sketched them like a manta ray isn't the most unique thing to sketch up, but I actually came up with the idea for these flying manta ray creatures many years ago, but I never had a reason to bring them to life until this.
Oh, nice. With your choice of using cutouts, was that intentional, or was there a plan for other things to be added?
That's just a process that I went with, which is an actual process. If you don't have an asset, you sketch it, and you just leave the sketch there until you finish the asset. So I just wanted to kind of give that. And by the time that I figured, I'm going to be leaving sketches here, I may as well give them a texture. make sure that the sketches look decent enough, with the time that I had. And when I got done with the first cutout, I was like, wow, this actually isn't bad, especially for a stylized storytelling method. So I kept them for that reason, rather than doing any models. On top of already having time constraint, I was like, it actually looks decent, and it's a fun way. It's kind of a merger between just a traditional storybook type. And that's what I wanted to go through. I wanted people to feel like they were being told a story, and also kind of helping influence it in a way by following along.
Nice.
And in the future, based on what I've learned here, I want to do more like this, but where you actually have way more influence over the world and how things will react to you. But the final act is where a lot of the stuff that I learned started to come together. And this one I will wait for it to do laser. Okay.
Try and make sure to convey them to him as well.
Hold who off?
Yvonne's henchmen, they all turned on us. Get your friend to get to the caves.
This was probably the most challenging scene because I wanted to make you feel like you were in a battle scene. And outside of the music, I had a lot of difficulty making you feel like you were surrounded by people who wanted to stop you, and also people who wanted to defend you and get you where you needed to go. So I had to hide everything in this smoke layer. And while I wasn't able to finish it, like, it's the wrong color, I wanted it to be like a kind of dirty brown, like a dust being kicked up. But I used that to help mask how many people you saw, how many cutouts there were, and kind of give points that were mixed around in the map, where you would hear Connor as he was screaming out and shouting at the people he was fighting. And at the end, his final voice line there was actually him screaming, and that will kind of foreshadow what Tobbs winds up saying here next. Is that they got Connor.
Connor! No! Those bastards! What could have possessed them to turn on us like that? And Connor... This chamber... We did it. We're in the outer rooms. Look! There's the door. This is where you come in. My grandfather made sure this place could not be entered unless alongside your kind. You should be able to see a lock, which is invisible to me. We don't have much time.
So this lock was I was modeling this, scripting this, texturing this in the last day or two of September.
Oh man.
Originally I wanted to have a big puzzle where you had to go in, you had to move a piece over here, and it would activate a piece over here, and you had to move that around and then go over here, and it would like make you think and make you move around a lot. But of course, time crunch allowing, we get the hey, look, shapes. Now this is where the time crunch really shows itself. I was actually gonna model a door, but I didn't even have enough time for that, so I was just like, but
Hey, so does the trick.
本当はなんかモデルのドアがあってここから入れるはずだったけれど、もうコンティニューで行けちゃうようになっちゃってるっていう。
This cave actually is made using a method of taking metaspheres in Blender and just kind of putting them together and then converting to a mesh, and then voila, you have a cave. And using this method and mixing it with a particle system, I actually wound up figuring out how to make incredibly large, very, very complex cave systems, which is fueling my present project, which, another time. But like this making this little tiny caves here was a massive eureka moment for me in this project. Yes. And it is actually sparking a huge new world system that I'm going to be working on going forward.
What is
You already have another story planned as
this
well?
place? Wait,
I actually have a few.
no, that can't be. These are his journals. Wait, no, this is his work.
No, this was something
Equipment,
that
hold
wasn't so
on.
much time crunch, but I legitimately
can
forgot,
work
and then
with
by the time
this.
I remembered it was time crunch. There's just supposed to be a couple books and scrolls on the counters. That was it.
God damn it!
Something to kind of give the player something to look at until
You
this
just
happens.
have to go sticking your nose into things. You're more intrusive than your grandfather was when his machine started to fail. No matter. Once I deal with you and your friend,
Evolution
I'll
of
be able
writing
to
was
move
really
forward as
interesting here
planned.
because originally this entire scene
Restore the
took place
machine.
in the final chamber.
Defenses will take
This
care
all
of the rest.
dialogue, all the
Go.
talking and stuff like that, where you could actually see the machine the whole
I've
time.
let time whittle this machine down.
But I
far too
wanted
long
to give
for
a
you
little bit
stop
more
me
mystery
now.
as to what was coming next. So I separated the rooms, and I made this. This machine. So my there was a problem with the subscription system for the software that I was using to texture this, and it didn't renew. So I go to texture this machine, the very final thing I have to model in the whole world.
Oh no.
And the program says your subscription has run out. And I go to my bank account, and I had been billed for that month. And I'm like, huh? And we're talking ultimate crunch time. I had already made this puzzle. I had already made everything. Last few hours I was working. On this. And you
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it was, so I wound up making a whole, going through the billing process a whole nother time. In the last few hours I had to work on it just to get that working again, so I could throw this in, texture it real fast, and get it working. And just so I could finish out the final act is all I wanted.
The man never got to finish before my blade took his heart. Slipping from its task all this time. And for you to come and finish his work, an outsider.
あれ
Once the beast spake through and destroy what this world once was, I'll reveal my own devices which can control and entrap the monsters. I will be a hero.
Originally, I wanted to animate that. I wanted to animate the monster's arm coming in, grabbing the cutout, and then ripping it up, but, crunch time. But, putting those sketches together, I was just like, you know what, this actually works perfectly fine, so, yeah, this works.
It's a great part.
Oh, that one's not a teleporter. That's where I learned. That's where I learned the heaviest lesson about transition and teleportation was that last button. But that'll have to be for a future project where I fix that. This.
いやパチパチパチパチ
And then this last song was actually made remixed by Zane. From an old shanty that I found and I was listening to almost on repeat while making this whole thing, and I was like, listen, Zane, I've been listening to this nonstop. It's gotta be in the world. I need you to remix it for me so I can put it in the world. And then it became the end for the song.
Good idea for having a credit. I've seen this in Rec Room and other places, and it works out really well because it kind of gives you this feeling I just completed something, and it's like it's your version of like a 3D credits. It's great. So now if you could make changes, just like if you could just do one major change out of all this, what would it be?
One major change, I would probably fix this room. Because the original idea was for it to be a black space rather than a box. Because I'm a little claustrophobic in here, not gonna lie. I wanted it to be feel like an empty space, and I wanted the credits to scroll up into view, so that it would, kind of give people the read this, make sure you absorb everybody that had a part in helping influence this project, so that they can be recognized for that.
True. What advice would you give to someone that wants to build a narrative-based world? Any type of tips or thoughts, things to think about?
The first thing I would say is be aware of how many people are going to be playing, and how triggers work in teleportation, and how transitioning from scene to scene works with multiple people, and don't be afraid to let sounds and things happen outside of the viewer's distance. Let them feel like the world is alive. That's the biggest target, is make them feel like there are other people outside, on the other side of the wall that they're standing next to. There could be somebody over there reading a book in the palace, or there could be guards outside the door. Just let their imagination run. Yeah, just do your best to find a way to let the viewer's imagination run, because if you give them too much, they won't have anything to imagine on. If you give them too little, then it'll look very blank and bare. But cover up the blank spots with something that's in the way, so that their imagination will try and put something behind it. And that's what I've learned while trying to assemble this world, and a lot of Bob Ross. Bob Ross is good at explaining that too.
Well, thank you, Jax, for sharing your thoughts behind all this. It's nice to always hear from an artist to kind of know what's going on in there. And once again, wonderful job. And I look forward to seeing the other narrative experiences you make. And I know this is a big deal for you, and it shows. It's wonderful. And one of the earliest narrative experiences in Neos. That's something that you can always have with you. That's so cool.
Yeah, that was the final challenge. Was what's everybody else doing? What can I do? Because whenever you enter a contest, one of the first thoughts is, how do I separate myself from other people? And I was like, there's no narratives. There's no narratives anywhere in Neos. I know so few that actually tell a story and give you some voices and stuff like that, and I wanted to do that, and that's why I cannot thank, that's why I was picture in the credits, I cannot thank these people enough for providing their voices, for giving those characters real life, especially Zane, who played Connor, who is the character based on my other friend. He carried that so well.
Do you think you'll end up using the avatar animator for any future projects?
Possibly. I guess it depends on the style that I'll go for next, because there might be some worlds that are completely empty and mysterious and have no characters to follow, or maybe I'll do something where it's creatures that you have to follow, like my manta rays out there. But if I do another narrative, I think it will be dependent on what kind of style and what kind of emotion I want people to feel. Here, I wanted people to have fun. If I want people to be very, very scared and dreaded, I would probably use something that would animate actual avatars to give them a sense of more immersion, like, oh my gosh, that's actually a thing out there in a spooky map that I could run away from. So I guess it depends.
なんかご質問があったら伝えましょうか。
Thank you for sharing, and we're going to pop back in for the completely different change of pace and play some freeze tag.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Thank you again. Yeah.
It was great, seeing first, pretty much first narrative experience in Neos. It was similar.
I will do more.
Take care.
Great.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
Oop. Okay, so let me just close the other wars as well in the meanwhile. We should load in. So we are start in this smaller room, it seems. Let me check out also let me bring my Twitch chat. I'm not gonna be interacting with chat too much because I try to focus more on the entries, but I'll check it if there's anything important.
I'll keep watching chat for you too.
Okay.
Audio is really important in this one.
Wait,
Yes.
so is the audio good on the stream? I think it should be good like from yesterday still.
Is it good, guys? Mm-hmm. Oh, I wasn't
So,
here
let's see.
yesterday. But...
To enjoy this experience to its fullest, please wait for the world to fully load and be sure to remain in story mode locomotion. Put volume to maximum and do not use any traveling or flight scripts for the duration of the story. Thank you and have fun. So we are in story mode. It has a really nice icon. Let me also make sure my audio's set up because I might have messed with the settings. So I'm gonna boost it a little.
And they're saying audio is good.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so let's go.
I'm a mute.
Start. Ooh. Yeah, it's a
Hello,
doodle.
my name is Tobbs, and today may be your lucky day, friend. I know you were arrested for simply traveling, and I know you came quiet, which is why I chose you. I believe you'd be willing to help me. Well, will you?
What? Yes. Let's go.
Wonderful. Follow me. We have a meeting with council.
Ooh, there's another door. I don't know
Yeah,
what
it
this is.
started in this one.
Oh, I also really get
That's actually
people
kinda
like enter
cool.
random ones. Oh, that's kind of fun.
I was
Do they like
oh,
open
okay.
and close?
That's pretty neat.
I like how it's like a doodle. So we have the cast, Tobbs, Cautious Member, Earthmark, Zane, Jax. Special thanks from Probo Prime, Shellfoot, June, Zane, and Kaden Gid. Reused assets, so we have the regular credits. Playtesters. So I think we're ready to go. Let's see. Fireplace. No Easter eggs. I think I still need to boost my multimeter up a bit. Because I can barely hear it in my end.
I have mine set to 100 and I can hear it.
I would blow my ears out though.
Oh yeah, sure.
Some music right now.
Is there some kind of castle? Doesn't seem to be anything in this room.
A fortress or a dungeon?
Hello.
I like that it seems to like the texture on the walls. Kind of like a Voronoi pattern to it.
Hello.
Ooh.
Everybody home?
Let's continue here.
We're up here then.
It's honestly quite fortunate you were caught when and where you were. Otherwise, this task would be impossible. Once we reach the council chamber, me do the talking. Even if they turn us down, you should keep quiet.
Pretty blue walls. It's a little lonely.
Ooh.
I'm trying.
How is this using the Voronoi? It actually works really well for like these kind of like stained windows.
I want to experiment trying to make the stained glass like lighting
Anybody up
when
there?
it shines down. Ooh,
Console.
similar to how Grox did.
It's honestly quite fortunate you were
I
caught
already said
when and
that.
where you were. Otherwise, this task would be impossible. Once we reach the council chamber, we do the
It's the
talking.
typical in-game
Turn us down,
NPC.
you should keep quiet.
Yeah.
Why do we have to cater to the sudden whim of this boy?
We cannot deny the grandson of Mortius. He is the only surviving member of the families of the Alduin's great triumph. We must hear him out at the very least.
Directions of putting them back in the pain.
Honored councilman, thank you for seeing me so late in this evening.
What is the meaning of this? Why have you brought this prisoner before us, and without permission?
Brother Ataris, please. Tobianus, bring forth your explanation.
Thank you, councilman. As you all know, my grandfather helped build the realm beacon, the sustainers of the walls between our and the other realms. In my observations, and from what my grandfather was able to teach me, I believe that the barrier is failing. An expedition must be held to uncover the machine once more and make repairs. This prisoner is with me because he is from another realm. He can see the barriers and uncover the secrets to reaching the machine once more, so that I may repair it with my grandfather's journals.
The barriers have remained strong for hundreds of years. What makes you think that it would fail for any reason?
The mountain under which the machine is buried has begun festering clouds and storms over its peaks more frequent. This is a sign of the barrier failing to keep the world of the shadow at bay.
A few rain clouds? You summoned us from our homes so late in the night because you've seen too many clouds over the lake? Tobanias, you are following a foolhardy nightmare of yours. Nothing you bring here is provable by fact. And bringing this prisoner to these halls?
Unfortunately, Tobianus, you have too much stacked against you for now, especially to convince us to give you a prisoner of whom's kind caused so much destruction so long ago.
But
No more. Return the prisoner to his cell and bury these worries of yours. Nothing has shown us any true reason to worry.
Thank you, honored councilman.
Everything okay?
Tobbs turns to you and begins leading you away from the council chamber. Slyly he winks and places his finger over his lips as he leads you back to the stairwell. Let me just look over here. No, there's nothing around. I just want to make sure to check everything. Follow. Aha!
Hello.
It's kind of a cool way of storytelling through the characters. I think one thing is a little bit difficult to tell which one's talking, but definitely something that can be changed. But kind of almost all the drawings are so like a story. Like when you block out a story and kind of get everything ready, and then you add more and more details.
Someone else is down there triggering more story.
Oh.
Hello. Sorry. I was trying to find you guys.
Sorry, it's a little confusing here for me.
I think if other people can trigger the story, should I restrict it to a few?
Place worse than this jail cell we.
Should we wait, or because now it's already been triggered? Let me just close the world for now.
Yeah. Sorry, I figured I'd try and join you guys on the adventures.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wait till it finishes.
Good luck.
I guess we missed some down here.
It's a Dutch name.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I almost said my real
I wonder if it restarts because the previous ones restarted.
Oops.
Did they? Yeah, you could walk maybe behind and go back into it, maybe.
Oh, you need to go to the...
I don't think that's gonna work though, because it seemed like it was a button pressed one.
Yeah.
I think my
you know what? We should restart the world and restrict to just few people, so we have a group of people and we don't have people randomly joining, and because it kind of hurts the experience. So I'm just gonna close the world. I'm gonna send you invites and reopen it.
Okay. You guys mind if I join in?
Yeah, I can send you an invite. So let's close this one. Let's give it one try. Sorry for that. I didn't realize that other people joining would trigger events, so I'm just gonna keep this one private. And send a few invites. Some connects, good H's, Veer, Dante, and Turk. So I'm just gonna start this one since we already went through this piece.
Hello, my name is Tobbs, and today may be your lucky day, friend. I know you were arrested for simply traveling, and I know you came quietly, which is why I chose you. I believe you'd be willing to help me. Well, will you?
Yes.
Wonderful. Follow me. We have a meeting with council.
So, do we have everyone?
I think
Hello.
Aegis and
Yeah. So, just one thing, like, make sure, like, we don't, like, trigger any like, story parts, like, without me going to them first.
We'll all stick together.
There we go. We can actually catch this at the beginning of the meeting.
It's honestly quite fortunate you were caught when and where you were.
Sing it again.
Why do we have to cater to the sudden whim of this boy?
We cannot deny the grandson of Mortius. He is the only surviving member of the families of the Alduin's great triumph. We must hear him out at the very least.
Directions of putting them back in pain.
Honored councilman, thank you for seeing me so late in this evening.
What is the meaning of this? Why have you brought this prisoner before us, and without permission?
Brother Ataris, please. Tobianus, bring forth your explanation.
Thank you, councilman.
But when it's sunny.
As you all know, my grandfather helped build the realm beacon, the sustainers of the walls between our and the other realms. In my observations, and from what my grandfather was able to teach me, I believe that the barrier is failing. An expedition must be held to uncover the machine once more and make repairs. This prisoner is with me because he is from another realm. He can see the barriers and uncover the secrets to reaching the machine once more, so that I may repair it with my grandfather's journals.
The barriers have remained strong for hundreds of years. What makes you think that it would fail for any reason?
The mountain under which the machine is buried has begun festering clouds and storms over its peaks more frequent. This is a sign of the barrier failing to keep the world of the shadow at bay.
A few rain clouds? You summoned us from our homes so late in the night because you've seen too many clouds over the lake? Tobbs, you are following a foolhardy nightmare of yours. Nothing you bring here is provable by fact. And bringing this prisoner to these halls?
Unfortunately, Tobianus, you have too much stacked against you for now, especially to convince us to give you a prisoner of whom's kind caused so much destruction so long ago.
But
No more. Return the prisoner to his cell and bury these worries of yours. Nothing has shown us any true reason to worry.
Thank you, honored councilman.
There we go. So now we get to that part without being
Back
skipped.
to our jail cell.
Gonna go.
Yeah, those guys are jerks. I mean, meaning their characters. They're sending us back to prison.
Well, as long as we don't have to stay there for the rest.
Stairwell's like, I like to spin.
Spin. These are ideal for ages.
Say no. We could have been out of here way faster if we went with my plan.
I had to try. You know this all too well.
Yeah, well, it wasted a lot of time. That's him.
Yes, this is the one.
All right, pal. You better not let my friend down or you're gonna go wind up in a place worse than this jail cell we pulled you out of.
Come on, Connor. Look who's wasting time now.
Yeah, you just follow me.
Full Tobbs.
I did not see that, Zane.
Yeah.
Alright guys, let's follow Zane.
Let's hold. Aha! Looks clear outside. I'm pretty cute drawings as well.
But it's the only thing that will get you past the coastal patrols without any flags. The real issue is surviving the trip with how little we can take aboard.
It'll have to do.
No, it will not.
Brother Yaval.
Please, Tobianus. I am sorry we could not approve your endeavor as a council. I know your grandfather will have taught you well to see the signs you speak of. Ataris was always jealous of his accomplishments.
Why are you here, Yaval? You don't seem to plan on turning us in if you brought no guards with you.
I came here to give you permission to take my ship. The council controls palace resources, but does not control what I myself own.
I don't know what to say, Yaval.
I knew your grandfather well enough. He was wise to pass his legacy on to you.
So if we're all done catching up, can we get a move on?
Yes, my crew has been preparing the ship and are standing by.
I have my own crew, thank you.
Very well, but it being my ship, I do insist that my crew be present for the voyage.
Fine.
Looks like we get to travel in luxury after all, friend.
Set sail and begin your voyage. Let's check it out a bit. I just want to have a look like at the design of the map. I really like the style of like the water. It's kind of like matches like the whole like.
Everyone hit the button before you.
Oh. Hello. Did you trigger any event?
No.
Please like wait always like wait on me like to go because like I'm doing like the judging so like you don't like skip ahead.
We definitely thought you clicked the continue button.
Yeah. Did this trigger like did I miss any event or?
No.
Okay, that's good.
This is what I'm about. We're on the voyage.
My grandfather used to tell me to never make enemies with too many people, or you'll have less opportunity in your life. Because he was right. Here we are. You're playing the most important role, by the way. As a being from another world, you can see certain things that we cannot. In secret, it was your people my grandfather worked with, in order to create the machines that balanced the bridge between our worlds and locked out the world of shadow. The councilmen don't all agree in providing a home to outsiders. Little do they know how many creatures are indeed from so many other realms. Oh, and thank you for agreeing to it all, by the way. Especially on such short notice. For now, you should get some sleep. We land just after dawn.
Check out the ship a little bit more. No clicking buttons.
Yeah, one click on it, the easier thing works.
I remember those things. Look pretty cool.
I think they're 3D models.
Are they 3D?
I jumped up and I saw.
There's some 3D. Wait, there's more there. This one spins. Okay, so that's good. Let's go to sleep.
Tobbs, you and your friends get out of here. We'll hold them off.
Hold who off?
Yaval's henchmen, they all turned on us. Get your friend to get to the caves.
Something happened. Looks like they're fighting. Is this an arrow? Yeah, this seems to be an arrow. Some kind of black fog over here. Or is it smoke? I think I was too slow for the music.
That arrow would make like a great arrow for like a ethereal bow or so. I don't know, that's just me.
Connor!
Oh.
Connor!
Like,
No!
It's like the arrow tip for
Those bastards!
bow.
What could have possessed them to turn on us like that? And Connor... This chamber... We did it. We're in the outer rooms. Look! There's the door. This is where you come in. My grandfather made sure this place could not be entered unless it was alongside your kind. You should be able to see a lock which is invisible to me. We don't have much time.
Is this the thing? Is this interactive? It seems to be like some kind of puzzle. I guess we probably have to like align these. Aha.
Yeah.
An opening in the caves becomes clear and allows you to travel through. So let's go.
What is this place? Wait, no, that can't be. These are his journals. Wait, no, this is his work. And this equipment, hold on. We can work with this. Anything else we might need might as well just be right here. Ah, damn it!
You just had to go sticking your nose into things. You're more intrusive than your grandfather was when his machine started to fail. No matter. Once I deal with you and your friend, I'll be able to move forward as planned.
Go! Restore the machine. Its defenses will take care of the rest. Go! Now!
Oh no, you don't! I've let time whittle this machine down far too long for you to stop me now.
Huh? Do we have to go? Ah, we survived that. Still got another puzzle. Oh, this is sufficient. Just rotate like this. Oop.
Nearly 100 years I've been waiting. The final piece that old man never got to finish before my blade took his heart. Slipping from its task all this time. And for you to come and finish his work. An outsider. Once the beast spake through and destroy what this world once was, I'll reveal my own devices which can control and entrap these monsters. I will be a hero, for I alone can save this world.
Oh. There's actually like a tentacle coming out of there. Machine. Ooh. Oh, is that it?
Pretty cool.
That was really cool, like seeing like sort of like a story-based like world like that. I don't think like I've seen like anything like that.
And I like the drawings too of like the whole like the mutant monster. Yeah.
They're really cute.
I was sad when Zane died.
Oh, died.
Well, that wasn't Zane that died. Wait, was that Zane voice acting that?
I think Zane died earlier.
Well, died. Or maybe it's survived somehow. Maybe they have a really good like medical technology.
Oh, maybe.
Medical magic. This is kind of funny because like it kind of reminds me like the way like the like cardboard cutouts are like whenever like you develop a game, you know, you always have this process where you kind of like block out the game. Like as you're developing it, you kind of first like build out like just the levels as like rough blocks, and then like you place like just like some images or something as placeholder for like the NPCs and so on, and then you keep like iterating and replacing them with actual models, animations, and polishing it. And it kind of reminds me of like that kind of like process, and just having like that kind of like level, like having like this kind of like way of like storytelling when the environment's like changing and doing things. Pretty cool to see done here.
It's like a really good basis for like an RPG because you have the story mapped out and you can just make up the scenes.
Yeah, that's a definitely very cool experience. So it was by is it cast? Wait, cast Tobbs, Cautious Member, Earthmark Evil, Zane is Connor, Jax is Tobbs. Music. Original recording Stone Nurturers, remixed by Zane. Release assets. So this is world called Tobbs, The Tale of Two Worlds, and it's by Tobbs, Earthmark, Zane, and Delirious Jax. So, and
good job.
Some special thanks here.
Very, very cool world. I feel like this is like honestly the first kind of like thing that really does feel like somebody in the community has made out like a storytelling, which storytelling in VR is so like big as to like why that's why so many it's hard to Yeah,
It kind of like feels like a really like good like step like towards like storytelling in EOS, and even just like seeing this one of the things I like is like how this is since like there's more like time constrained and there's like so much you can do like in a month. It kind of feels like it's part of like the development like process, and you kind of see like the cutouts and so on. And it just feels like it's forming. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So
what other worlds shall we travel to?
Let me check out because like this offers to explore, so I'm just gonna reset world, see what that does.
Okay.
And then respawn yourself. So imagine this just starts the experience again. So.
Hello, my name is Tobbs, and today may be your lucky day, friend.
I just wanted to check like if there like something different happens or not. So
You came quiet.
let's see what's the next entry.
I believe
So the next entry is MMC2020 by that guy 4815.